bow at the god of empathy. Weaponized empathy is the worst, bro. Let's be frank. A lot of folks are going to grow up and have a really hard life if they're coming from someone that was potentially going to delete them.
Yes.
Don't kill the animals, but if what you're okay with happening to a baby happened to an animal, you lose your freaking mind.
Ruslan.
All right, guys, did you guys watch the previous video about Dr. Phil lying?
Life begins at fertilization, and science is very clear about that. And you have to know science isn't, there's no consensus among the scientific community.
There is, Dr. Phil. 96%
No, actually,
of
there's
scientists
not.
say that life begins at fertilization. If you're an in vitro specialist, you're looking to create
let me
a
finish.
single-cell embryo, and then you know you have a new human life. So it is a scientific fact.
Well, actually, it's not.
A new study has found that 96% of biologists believe that life begins at fertilization. Dr. Phil, you said to fact-checked you. I fact-checked you, bud. You were wrong. You lied. Just fibbing. This man's just out here fibbing.
Straight capping.
Just straight lying.
Absolutely capping, bruv.
He just said that. Like, there's no scientific consensus. As if she made that up.
Yeah. You know, they're on network television. There's no, can we stop and look that up? You know, there's no finesse.
Yeah.
There's no, hey, let's actually discuss this topic. It's very much, all my people that I hired to produce the show didn't put this in the notes.
Yeah,
so
it's probably the notes say that it is not.
The notes say that is not a scientific consensus.
It's not a scientific consensus.
So it's like,
Dr. Phil's out here lying on people. I'm glad at least they're having discussions. I think that's good. I'm happy that the discussion is happening.
I do have to say that's pretty like controversial conversation, especially, and the one with Matt Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like Dr. Phil is willing to get his feet wet a little bit.
I think Dr. Phil knows what it takes to get clicks.
I
think Dr. Phil is a complete shell to whatever they want to talk about and whatever thing. Like, I don't think he has beliefs.
Yeah. I try not to believe in anything.
I try not to believe anything.
What the H?
I don't think he has beliefs, but I do think that he's just kind of riding with whatever is the mainstream thing. So if like boys can be girls, that's what he's about.
I also like how he's like, I don't have any opinions, but he'll like kind of just be like, just so you know, my line of questioning though sides with the thing that is politically correct.
Yes.
In case you're wondering.
In case you're wondering, I believe what the right thing is to believe here, right? Yeah. Ruslan, do you think pro-choice people would be pro-self-deletion? In my opinion, that's a lot less complicated and won't be in line with the pro-choice logic. Yes, I do think that they are, and I do think many of them are in the sense that they're okay with, what is that called?
Euthanasia.
Euthanasia. China, there's a documentary about the one-child policy that was going on until 2015. And what they were doing was they were forcing abortions on people who had
more than one kid.
More than one kid.
Yeah.
And it was, in my opinion, they showed the brutality of this and they showed how dark it was. And in my opinion, I was like, yo, this is the best pro-life movie ever. Only for the movie to end and it come out as, I believe in a woman's right to choose, which makes it, I'm like, whoa. How did you get to that logic? Like, it was the weirdest mental gymnastics to still turn it into a pro-choice piece.
So the whole thing was like, wow, they're like using abortions for like massive evil, but like outright evil, like downright dark, non-consensual abortions.
And they were interviewing these doctors who had to facilitate these. And one lady did like a couple hundred of them. They show this. There's this one frame in this doc, and they're sitting in a room full of these babies that they held onto in jars. Stop. Bro, it's dark. And these were not little babies. It was dark. So like the hypocrisy for it to go that direction and still end up a quote unquote pro-choice was wild.
At the end of the day, we believe abortions are a beautiful thing. And we believe in a woman's right to choose. But
you know what I think the funniest thing is?
Dark movie.
You know what I think the funniest thing is?
What's that?
Folks that are pro-choice but vegan.
I know one of those. They're like, hey, I just can't watch the documentary on the cow being slaughtered.
Don't kill the animals.
Holding a sign. Let's go.
Don't kill the animals. But if what you are okay with happening to a baby happened to an animal, you lose your freaking mind.
We were also in a room full of other Christian men fairly recently, and I was surprised about the open willingness to be like, well, in this scenario, I could see it being okay.
First of all, not everybody in that room
was
Christian.
not everyone in that room.
I think I did a good job of persuading the non-Christians in the room.
I think you
to
did.
come over to my side of being pro-life.
Oh, absolutely. No, I totally agree. But I'm saying I was surprised, and then it got me thinking. It got me thinking about like in the case of SA, right?
Mm-hmm.
A baby under SA, and as Christian, like sometimes there's Christians that are like, I think that even this situation abortion should be okay, but the other ones are not.
Yeah.
Right. And the funny thought that I had, which isn't super funny, is this idea that if abortions weren't around, right? Let's say 300, 400 years ago, and we're all sitting around and we're like, did you hear that Stacy got raped? And we're like, horrible, sad. Let's kill a rapist.
What is this accent you're doing?
It's like 400 years ago, America. They're like barely American yet. Okay. And then they go.
I hope there's not an abortion joke.
No, there's not an abortion joke. But then they go like,
I'm bracing. I'm bracing.
No, but then at the end of it, they're like, when the baby's born, do you think we should off it too? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the logical conclusion of being like, just because the abortion is normalized in today's culture doesn't mean even that should be okay in the SA situation.
Yep.
Because if you were to go back 400 years ago, we wouldn't be like, should we kill the baby once it's born?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
that's a great point. That's a great point.
You know
or should we punch the mother in the stomach and into pregnancy?
Yeah, exactly. But it's very, it's like, would that be for the better good of this female? Right. So it's this weird, there's still a weird normalization of abortion.
Yes.
In culture. So much so that even Christians are like, well, I think in certain scenarios.
I think that's where you fold, though. I think you fold because you bow at the god of empathy. Weaponized empathy is the worst, bro.
That's
because when what's the worst assertion somebody can make about you? You're not empathetic. That's what we saw in the full Dr. Phil clip. You lack empathy.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
You turned on your own is what that one
that lady
said.
told her you turned on your own. And so it's such a manipulative, weaponized position to say you lack empathy, you turned on your own, when in reality, I'm being empathetic to the person that may get aborted.
Yeah.
I'm being empathetic to at least their shot at life. Now, let's be frank. A lot of folks are going to grow up and have a really hard life if they're coming from someone that was potentially going to delete them.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
However, they still got a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
And then you look at all the people that were almost deleted.
Yeah.
You look at the Barack Obamas, the Steph Currys. Like Steph Curry's mom just came out and said she almost had him deleted. You look at all these people, and again, I understand that like growing up in poverty, there's more challenges, but you know, you're appealing to someone's lack of empathy when really it's like, no, this is actually the more merciful position. Like saying that like submitting the self-actualization of a woman's potential.
Yeah.
To submitting that the death of a person is less of an evil. And again, whatever you want to define it as, I say fertilization, conception, you want to say latching, you want to say heartbeat, you want to say brainwaves, still beyond what people are actually the pro-choice are actually advocating for.
Yeah.
They think it's at birth, which is stupid.
That's dark.
Because then the logic goes, well, okay, say there was SA involved. Say it was brutal. Say it was a 10-year-old girl. Would you be okay with terminating that pregnancy at 9 months?
Oof, that's dark.
No, you wouldn't. How about 8 months? No, you wouldn't. How about 6 months? No, you wouldn't. So where do you draw the line? Oh, it's arbitrary. It's when you feel like it.
Yeah.
Right? And so just say that. Just be honest about it. I feel like the mercy killing of babies is the lesser of two evil. At least you're cohesive and consistent in your logic. And then we could say, is the mercy killing of babies, right? Is that actually the lesser of two evils versus, hey, your self-actualization as a human woman, potentially, and the dad, because the dad's legally liable to provide for that child as well.
Yeah.
That has to take a backseat to someone growing up and you having to provide for somebody.
Yeah.
And then we act like Christians don't benefit men. Who do you think Christians benefit the most?
Yeah.
It's like that whole Andrew Schultz bit where he's like, I went to a woman's rally. They out here naked. Their boobs is out. They're talking about having sex with as many guys as they want. Abortion. He's like, guys, get down here. This is great. Like, who do you think this benefits? You think this benefits women?
Bruh.
You think sex positivity benefits women, or do you think sex positivity benefits men?
Both, maybe. Or, I mean, it doesn't.
It definitely benefits men.
Well,
Casual sex with no responsibility to provide for a child is absolutely beneficial to perverted, deranged men.
Yeah, and doesn't actually benefit. It just like
no,
subjectively
not in
benefits from a worldly perspective.
Yes, I am not saying it benefits them as in a net positive to their spiritual development. I'm saying that a man being able to sleep with as many women as he wants to, and then just pay the $300-400 to them have to terminate the pregnancy, is more so in line with that man's self-interest in the short term and the long term than the woman's self-interest.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy thought.
And it said that Simeon blessed God.